My name is Leora Maddox, and for most of my life, I believed my family was unshakable. Asheville, North Carolina, in the middle of spring, had always felt like the place where everything blossomed: dreams, plans, and the kind of hope you can smell in the air. I thought this would be the season where my future finally took shape. My wedding was supposed to be the start of that future. I had booked the Laurelwood Estate, a stunning mountainside venue with glass-paneled walls overlooking rolling blue ridges, almost a year in advance. I used to drive past it as a kid and whisper to myself, "One day I'll get married there." When they confirmed my reservation, I cried in my car for 10 minutes straight. But dreams are fragile things, especially when the people closest to you feel entitled to them. My younger sister Rowan had always been complicated, beautiful, charming, effortlessly admired by everyone we met. But underneath all that softness was a steel edge, one that cut anyone who stood between her and something she wanted. Still, I never imagined she would try to take something from me that carried this much weight. It started 3 weeks before my wedding. I was sitting at my kitchen counter, finalizing catering options, when Mom called with her voice unusually gentle, almost rehearsed. "Sweetheart," she said, "Rowan has something she needs to tell you." My stomach twisted even before hearing the news. Rowan's voice came next, bright, airy, and fake sweet in a way that made my skin crawl. "So, Lee? I booked the Laurelwood for my wedding." I blinked, confused. "What do you mean you booked it? That's my venue." A beat of silence. Then she sighed dramatically. "Well, it was your venue, but I need it more than you do, and honestly, I'll use it better." My breath caught. "Rowan, I have a signed contract. The deposit is paid. My wedding is in 3 weeks. "Exactly," she said. "And mine is in 6 months. I have more time to plan. It makes more sense for me to have it. You can find somewhere else." Somewhere else? As if wedding venues magically appeared out of thin air with 3 weeks' notice. I felt my chest tighten, my fingers trembling as I gripped the edge of the counter. "Rowan, that place has been my dream since I was 10. "And?" she replied flatly. Mom finally jumped in. "Leora, honey, don't make this difficult. Your sister deserves her special day too." My sister deserved it at the cost of mine? I felt something inside me fracture, quietly, almost invisibly, but definitely beyond repair. I asked the only question that mattered. "Did you call the venue?" "Oh, they already switched everything over," Rowan said cheerfully. "I told them it was a family mix-up, and since we share a last name, they corrected the reservation." The room spun. "Rowan, you stole my wedding venue." She scoffed. "Stop being dramatic. You're always so emotional, Lee. It's just a venue." No, it was not just a venue. It was the place where I planned to start the rest of my life. But my family didn't care. Mom ended the call with, "Please don't ruin this for your sister." When the line went dead, I just sat there, staring at the countertop, unable to fully process what had just happened. Betrayal has a strange taste. It doesn't explode all at once. It creeps. Slow, acidic, sharp. My fiancé, Evan, walked in moments later, reading my expression before I could hide it. "What happened?" he asked softly. I told him everything. Every word, every lie, every dismissal from the two people who were supposed to love me without conditions. By the time I finished, my voice was shaking. Evan wrapped his arms around me. "We're not letting them take this from you." But deep down, I felt the sting of something even worse than anger. I felt small, like my dreams were negotiable, like my worth depended on Rowan's convenience. That night, lying awake, staring at the ceiling, I kept replaying Rowan's voice. "It was your venue, but I need it more." And something inside me shifted. I had spent my whole life playing the reasonable one, the quiet one, the peacemaker, the sister who compromised so Rowan could shine. But not this time. I opened my laptop, pulled up my wedding contract, and studied every line. I found the venue coordinator's email. I looked at legal clauses I had never cared about before. Then I noticed it, an attachment I had forgotten, a PDF of the original signed reservation, time-stamped, legally binding. A spark lit inside me. If Rowan wanted to steal my dream, she should have been prepared for the consequences. The next morning, I drove to the Laurelwood estate. Spring air rushed through my open window as dogwoods bloomed along the winding mountain roads. My hands were shaking, not just from anger, but from something stronger: resolve. When I stepped into the venue office, the coordinator, Mallory, looked up with surprise. "Oh, Leora, I didn't expect to see you today." "I need to talk to you," I said, setting my contract on her desk. "About my reservation." Mallory exhaled slowly, guilt flickering across her face. "Your sister told us there was a correction. She said you made a mistake." My jaw clenched. I didn't make a mistake, but she did. Mallory glanced at the contract, then her eyes widened. This changes everything." I nodded. "Yes, it does." She swallowed. "I need to bring this to the director." My heart pounded as she disappeared into the back office. 5 minutes passed, then 10, then 15. When the door finally opened, the director stepped out, holding my contract. "Miss Maddox," he said, "we need to discuss the legality of what happened." My pulse quickened. "Okay." He looked at me steadily. "Before we proceed, you should know something about your sister's visit here." I froze. His voice lowered. "She didn't just switch the reservation." My breath stopped. "What did she do?" He hesitated. Then finally, "She did something that may affect more than just your wedding." The director's words hung in the air like fog, thick, cold, impossible to see through. Something inside me braced, the way your body tightens before impact. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice barely steady. He gestured toward his office. "Come in. You'll want to sit for this." I followed him inside, my pulse pounding in my ears. Mallory hovered near the doorway, her expression uneasy. The director, Mr. Keaton, placed my contract on his desk and folded his hands. "Your sister didn't just request a reservation switch," he said calmly. "She claimed that you had canceled your wedding." My heart slammed into my ribs. "What?" He nodded. "She told us you decided to postpone your ceremony indefinitely and asked us to release your date. She even sent what she said was your written cancellation." I blinked, struggling to keep up. "I never wrote any cancellation." "We know that now," he said. "But at the time, she provided a typed letter with your name and signature." My stomach churned. "Signature? She forged my signature?" "It appears that way." The room tilted slightly. I gripped the arms of the chair, grounding myself while my thoughts spiraled. Rowan didn't just steal a venue. She impersonated me. She faked documents. She manipulated a legal contract like it was nothing. Mr. Keaton continued, his voice firm but sympathetic. "We have strict policies. Normally, we would never alter a reservation without speaking to the original client. But Rowan insisted you were emotionally overwhelmed, that you didn't want to speak to anyone directly." My jaw tightened so hard it hurt. "Emotionally overwhelmed, right. Convenient wording." He leaned back. "We trusted her because she presented herself as acting on your behalf, and because the letter looked genuine." I swallowed the rising wave of anger burning my throat. "So she made it seem like I was unstable and couldn't handle my own wedding plans?" I said softly. Mallory nodded with shame. "Yes. She implied there were concerns about your mental health." My breath left my body. My own sister, destroying my credibility. To get what she wanted. I felt something inside me collapse, but not in the way it had before. This time, the collapse made space. Space for fire, for clarity, for something sharp and unbreakable. Mr. Keaton slid a printed document toward me. "We kept the letter on file. You may need this for legal purposes." I looked down at the forged cancellation notice. My name, my address. A signature that mimicked mine almost perfectly. A cold shiver ran down my spine. I whispered, "She really did this." Mallory's voice was gentle. "We're sorry, Leora. We truly thought we were doing the right thing." I forced myself to breathe. "So what happens now?" Mr. Keaton straightened. "Now that we've seen your original contract and realized what happened, the reservation is legally yours. Rowan has no claim to it." Relief flickered through me, but only for a moment, because the truth was bigger than the venue. "What about the date she took?" I asked. "Did she book that under her own name?" Mallory hesitated. "She did. But the contract was created through fraudulent cancellation. We'll have to void her reservation." "And her rehearsal?" I asked. Mr. Keaton nodded solemnly. "We'll address that as well." I exhaled slowly, absorbing everything, my mind already shifting from hurt to strategy. But then he said something that pulled the ground from beneath my feet. "There's one more issue. I stiffened. What now? Mr. Keaton exchanged a look with Mallory before speaking. When your sister visited us, she didn't come alone. I frowned. Who was with her? A man, Mallory said. Tall, dark hair. He was wearing a navy blazer. I blinked. That described a lot of people. But something icy crawled up my spine as a possibility crept in, one I immediately rejected because it made me nauseous. No, I whispered. There's no way. Does that sound familiar? Mallory asked gently. I shook my head, refusing to speak it into existence. Mr. Keaton slid another paper across the desk. He signed as a witness on the cancellation letter. My hand trembled as I flipped the page, and then my heart fractured. Deep, violent. In a way, Rowan's betrayal almost didn't compare to, because the witness signature wasn't just familiar. It belonged to my fiancé, Evan Carter. The world narrowed into a pinpoint. Mallory's voice was distant, muffled. We assumed he was supporting your decision. But I couldn't hear anything anymore. He signed it. He was there. He let Rowan cancel my wedding venue in my name. My throat tightened. I need to go. They exchanged sympathetic nods, but didn't stop me. I gathered my contract, the forged cancellation letter, and walked out on unsteady legs. The hallway blurred as heat built behind my eyes. Outside, the sunlight was too bright, the sky too blue, the air too gentle for the truth I'd just learned. My fiancé, my partner, had stood beside my sister while she stole my venue. He didn't defend me. He didn't call me. He didn't question it. He helped her. Why? Why would he? My phone buzzed in my hand. A text from Evan. Hey, babe, everything okay? Did you get things sorted out with the venue? My fingers shook violently. He knew I was here. He was waiting for me to come home. He was pretending like nothing had happened. A cold certainty settled in my chest, quiet but solid. Evan didn't just betray me. He betrayed me with Rowan. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of the truth. I was furious, focused, sharp. And revenge wasn't an idea anymore. It was inevitable. I drove home in silence. The mountains blurred past my windows, but I barely registered them. My grip on the steering wheel tightened until my knuckles burned white. Everything inside me was shaking, rage, heartbreak, disbelief, swirling into a storm I couldn't contain. Evan, my fiancé, the man who promised he would always have my back. He had signed the forged cancellation letter. And Rowan stood beside him while he did it. My phone buzzed again with another text, but I couldn't bring myself to read it. I felt sick, physically nauseous, thinking about walking into the same house as him. The house where our wedding invitations were stacked on the dining table and the suit he planned to wear still hung on the bedroom door. I pulled into the driveway. For a moment, I just sat there, my hand still trembling on the key. The house felt different now, darker, heavier, like it was full of ghosts I hadn't invited. When I finally stepped inside, the first thing I heard was Evan's voice calling from the living room. Leora? Hey, I was getting worried. Worried? The word nearly made me laugh. He appeared in the doorway, smiling, relaxed, as if everything between us was normal. But when he saw my face, the smile faltered. Babe, what's wrong? I set the folder of documents on the dining table with a sharp thud. Sit down, I said. He blinked. What? Why? Sit down. The edge in my voice must have startled him because he obeyed, lowering himself into a chair. I remained standing, distance between us like a wall. I opened the folder slowly and pulled out the forged cancellation letter. The moment his eyes dropped to the page, something in his expression shifted, barely, but enough for me to catch it. Recognition. Do you want to explain this? I asked, my voice frighteningly calm. He swallowed hard. Leora, it's not what you think. I let out a humorless laugh. Really? Because it looks exactly like what I think. My sister forged a legal document, and you signed it. It wasn't like that, he insisted, leaning forward. Rowan told me you were overwhelmed. She said you two had talked about maybe postponing. I never said that. He hesitated. She said you were falling apart, that planning the wedding was too much pressure, that you didn't want to disappoint me by calling it off. I thought I was helping. Helping? Helping who? Me? Or Rowan? Why didn't you ask me? I demanded. Why didn't you pick up the phone and say, hey babe, are you canceling our wedding? He ran a hand through his hair. Because Rowan said you didn't want to talk about it. She told me you were embarrassed, that you needed space. I stared at him, stunned by the absurdity of it all. And you believed her? Over me? Over the woman you're supposed to marry? He closed his eyes. I thought she was looking out for you. She was looking out for herself. My voice cracked. And you helped her. He stood suddenly, reaching for me, but I stepped back. Leora, please. I didn't mean to hurt you. I thought I was doing the right thing. No, I said quietly. If you thought something was wrong with me, you should have talked to me, not her. Silence stretched between us like a chasm. He lowered his gaze. I'm sorry. But the word sounded small, weak, meaningless. You didn't just fail me, I said. You betrayed me. His shoulders sagged. Tell me how to fix it. I looked at him, really looked at him, and something inside me settled. I realized I no longer expected him to fix anything, because I no longer trusted him. You can start by telling me everything, I said sharply. Why were you even with Rowan at the venue? Evan hesitated. Too long. Far too long. And my stomach dropped. Evan, I warned, don't lie. He exhaled shakily. She asked me to go with her. She said she needed support. I thought it was about something else. Something personal. About me? I snapped. No, she said it was about your mother. My blood ran cold. My mother? He nodded, still avoiding my eyes. Rowan said your mom was upset with you, that she wanted to change the wedding arrangements. She made it sound like your family was falling apart and she was trying to help keep the peace. I stared at him in disbelief. My sister played you and you let her. It's not that simple, he began. It is, I cut in. You chose to trust her over me, and you did it behind my back. He opened his mouth again, but I was done. I gathered the papers and stepped away from the table. Where are you going? He asked. To plan the rest of my wedding, I said flatly. His face twisted. With me? I paused at the doorway. My voice came out colder than winter air. That depends on whether you're my partner or Rowan's puppet. His eyes widened, but I didn't stay to watch his reaction. I walked to the bedroom, shut the door, and locked it. Only then did I let the tears fall. But they were not the same tears I cried earlier. Not soft, not helpless. These were sharp, purposeful, cleansing. Because now I understood something my family never wanted me to realize. I wasn't weak. I wasn't emotional. I wasn't dramatic. I was underestimated. And that made me dangerous. I opened my laptop again, pulling up emails, contracts, timelines, everything I had. My revenge wasn't going to be impulsive. It was going to be organized, precise, and unavoidable. One step at a time, I would dismantle every lie Rowan built, starting with the rehearsal she thought she could have at my venue. As I reviewed the forged letter again, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen. A message from an unknown number. Leora, we need to talk. It's about Rowan. Please don't tell her I reached out. My breath hitched. I typed back, Who is this? The reply came instantly. Someone who knows what she's planning next. My blood turned to ice. Rowan wasn't finished. Not even close.